Good morning, good morning, good morning, and a huge warm welcome to Carnation Crafts. We're live in the Carnation Craft studio. As always, it is wonderful to have your company. Are you all okay? I hope you're all right. We've got an extraordinary crafters select for you today. This is on the road again, and it is wonderful. It is on the deal of the day. It has already sold 35%, so you're going to have to shuffle your bottoms because it's going fast. This is an expansion pack for you, $29.99. $2.95 UK P&P. The normal price for it is $39.99, so it's going to go up by £10 at midnight tonight. So you do have only a short time frame to get it at the deal. You can use the QR code at the bottom of the page in order to get straight to it, or you can go to the Carnation Crafts website, www.carnationcrafts.co.uk, and go and have a look straight on the daily deal. That's the best place to go. Deal of the day. Go and see it, and you'll find all the information there. It'll have, I think the vignettes will be there as well, won't they, Taz? The link to it. So you'll be able to go and find everything that you need. What is it? Well, it's the caravans, it's holidays, it's literally being on the road. So it's going on those trips, those camping trips that you might go on, the family feel that you get. So it's got games in it. You can see it's got swing ball on there, the caravan, the gas tank, the awning, the fire. It's got all of the elements that we would have when we go on to our jollies, which is lovely to have. I know Suzanne Page will be sitting there because I know that she has lots and lots of time in her caravan, so I'm sure Suzanne will be loving this, but lots of other people are too. As I say, 35% already gone. Right, we're going to have a look at the boards. Just to let you know, this is an expansion pack to Sunsets and Skylines. So if you've already got that, this fits in with it. So all of the gorgeous hills, the rolling hills, they will all come into that for you as well. We're going to look at the boards and we're going to look at some finished samples, and then I've got a couple of demos for you so you'll see it coming into action and hopefully get all the inspiration that you need. Let us know if you're okay. So what we've got here are a list of different sentiments that you can download. These are printable sentiments. You can use all of your nested dies to cut out the different shapes, and these are a little bit tongue-in-cheek. So we've got I pine for you. I would always choose you. You are a chip off the old block. It's all natural. Try not to look so wooden, darling. I swear my joints creak more every year, creak more every day for me. You really should be a model, not to be sappy, but I love you. So these are great for Valentine's Day as well. There's lots of uses for the sentiments themselves. You can see here the main part of this is the big caravan, which is just epic, isn't it? It's a great size. We can do big cards. You can also do a card just from the caravan itself. You've got your matte layer here, which means you can make those smaller cards, you can make bigger cards, you can do expansions on them. You've got the awning, and you've also got your tow bar as well, everything coming through. Your little bit here for the number plate, and you've also got all the signs that you might have either on the road or on the back of your caravan, depending what you are doing, but it doesn't stop there. You've also got your gorgeous fence posts. You've got your little tennis rackets to go with your swing ball. You've got your canoe and the paddle for it. You've got the bike rack. You've got the bikes. You've got the fire. You've got the little camp chair, and you've got the gas tank there as well. Everything that you might take with you, right, when you're going on your jollies, except for maybe your craft stuff. We know that you'd have that stashed somewhere on your roof rack potentially. So all of the little elements. So this is a really key point of having dies that are for those people that do love the outdoors. So people you know who just thrive in that environment, and I know so many people do. This just comes together, doesn't it? That camping feel. So it's going to be really useful for so many of us. Obviously, me being very outdoorsy. So you've got the expansion pack 241020 on the road again die set. This is your expansion to Sunsets and Skylines. Show price of $29.99, $2.95 UK P&P. Midnight tonight, that's going to go up to $39.99. So you have got £10 off it for now. Please, please do use the QR code if it makes your life easier. And if you've never used a QR code before, all you need to do is switch on your phone, go to the camera, hover it over that little wiggly black box at the bottom of the screen. It'll provide a link for you and it'll take you straight to the product. So you'll be able to get everything you need from there. Let's have a look at what the DT team have been up to and what they've been creating. Can I just say, I also love the fact that the DT team are still using the stand that came in one of the previous collections. When we work with Carnation, we're always working with dies that have got longevity. So the whole point is that everything goes for a long time to come. So we've got this gorgeous card here where we're starting to expand. So we're using an oval set here and then we expand it. Now we've got the little rolling hills, remember, from Sunsets and Skylines. So it sits there along with the gorgeous Kingfisher. So we're already starting to make these really beautiful, extraordinary scenes. And remember, whenever we're card making, we're telling stories, aren't we? And that's what we're doing here. We're starting to make them, you know, the expansion on it. You can see that they've put the word sold on there. So you've got the different elements coming through. If you know someone who's selling a caravan, then that is absolutely ideal. You can put your own stuff on it. Pam Simpson here coming in, sorry Taz, that was a bit lower down, coming in with hers. OTRA, I assume that's got, so what does that mean? On the road again, there you go. And so you've got your little fence posts coming out. There's lots of ways of playing. You can see how they've expanded, and as I go through the DT samples, you'll start to see we've got some very large cards as well as some small ones. These ones are all done just using that caravan element. How gorgeous are these? And it is your kind of sunny day, isn't it, when you're camping? Not that we're seeing many of those recently, but you do get them. That caravan's brilliant, isn't it? It's the perspective on it. I love it. Then we've got your super long line. Beautiful. The little rack here for the canoe, so you can use it for either. Sue Dalrymple coming in here. Now, Sue, I'll just show you in a second. Hold on. Sue has used the matte layer for the caravan actually as the base of this card. She's then expanded. So if I turn this around, you'll see that the matte layer is actually the card base. This obviously helps it stand, but it's only needed, and then everything else has then been attached to it. Brilliant, right? We loves it. Have you ever gone camping, Taz?
When I was little in France.
Janine here. Really sweet. I love that. That's just peaceful, isn't it? It's about sitting, watching the sunset. It's a really peaceful card. Birthday wishes. It's got Taz very excited this morning because she is slightly obsessed with cows. Brilliant how it all comes together. Expansion packs are so important because it just makes more of what we've already got. This is, you know, what we look for with Carnation. We have special edition vignettes. We've got expansion packs. We're not left just with what we started with. It keeps growing. So it's not all about camping, is it? These are your country days, those summer feels. Something very small here from Vera. That was Barbara Treadwell's. We've got Vera Bowes here. Clever, right? It's a clever build. I love that. There's so much impact on that caravan and the awning as well, you know, being able to extend it out. So we're coming in with some smaller ones. I want to show you some of the larger ones. I'm not going to show you them all at sort of now. We will go through them as we go through the show. But again, look at that expansion. So this is Janine's. I just want to show you. Can you see how Janine's created dimension here with the caravan? So she has allowed it to pull out, which gives it the shadow play at the side of the caravan here. That gorgeous dimension. And at the back, we have the rolling hills. The power of mirrored vignettes. It's really clever, right? Now I'm going to show you one more and then I'm going to get on with demo. I wanted to find, we have got, and I think it's incredibly valuable to show you this, Sue Dalrymple. Now this is a large card. It is, you know, this is a huge span card. And I love that because sometimes we have those times where maybe in an office, lots of people would be writing names for a birthday, that kind of thing. We do have times where we need those big, big cards. Because the caravan is a large surface area, we can really use that to our advantage to make these big, big cards, but also the fact that we can use it to make much smaller cards too. Just to let you know, in terms of size, this is 11 3/4 inches by 8.5 inches. So we do have that big, big span. It is very, very pretty. It's lovely to do. Just let me pass this to Miss Taz. There you go. So you've got all of your elements here. Remember to bring in your Sunsets and Skylines. You can bring in other collections as well. Parts of Wonderful World will go wonderfully with this as well. If you want motorbikes, those kind of things, all of those elements coming through. So you can play to your heart's content. I love the fact that we've got the little license plate that we can write whatever we want to write on there as well. So that's real personalization. There's room for you to grow and you to sort of expand. Again, on the sign here, take care. We get the chance to say what we want to say. So you can put your own sentiment on these elements, which is super sweet, isn't it? So I'm going to make a couple of demos for you today, and we'll keep looking through those finished samples, and we'll keep looking through the elements for you so you get a real taste of it. This is on the road again, 241020. Its normal price is going to be $39.99. That's at midnight tonight. If you want to get a £10 discount at $29.99, now's the time to do it. It's on the deal of the day on the Carnation Crafts website, www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. You can hit the daily deal button and it'll take you straight there, or you can indeed use the QR code, you can use the number, you can search by name. There are a plethora of ways of finding what you need on the Carnation website. While you're there, go and have a ferret, because the Carnation website is, of course, a craft shop as well as dyes. Everything you might need is on there. Right, let me just find the right demos. Just 1 second. Here we go. My chair's very creaky at the moment, Miss Taz. Could be the size of my bottom, let's face it. Right, let's get this out. And let's play. So this will be a longer line demonstration because we're going to work in longer format and we're going to add lots of elements to it so you can see as much as you can of what you're getting. So I want you to try and see as many elements as possible. I'm going to use my everyday glue and I'm just going to put some of this on the side so that I can come back to it as and when I need. This allows me to use the applicator to dip in, but if you prefer to use just the bottleneck, 100%, so it depends how you prefer crafting, obviously, but I like to use my glass mat and a little bit of PVA on there. Just helps when you dip in. The applicators and the glue obviously available on the Carnation Crafts website. Woo. Right, so I'm using a very slender card base here. So my measurements, I'm just going to move that slightly towards me. My measurements here are, let me just get that straight. We're going in at 9.5 by 3 inches. So very small. We're not working big line here. And I would never normally use something this narrow because even as a DL, this would be classed as too narrow. But there's no crafting police. So we can do as we choose. I'm going to shuffle those together. Okay, so we've got this nice baseline that we're working from. From there, I want to add in my rolling hills. Now, the reason I've kept this so slender is so that I can match it to the length of my rolling hills, because I don't really want too much of the white card showing above it. Now I could have gone even smaller to make sure it was absolutely hidden, but the problem with that, of course, is that you're going to get an imbalance on the card base. I need it to stand up, so I have to have some depth there. Now if you want to overcome that, you can of course use 3 of the rolling hills and expand over. That will also work, so then you wouldn't see any white space, so you can use it that way. I'm going to do that. I'm going to expand over to the edge, and I'm going to keep my midline exactly as it is, because I'm going to use the caravan on the inside of that. So that's going to work out just exactly as I need it. Using my wet glue then, I know that if I want this to go here, I've got to stop my wet glue roughly at that top hill. So from here, I'm going to secure it, making sure I've got the right side. And I'm going to place in, and I'm going to stop where that rolling hill is, and that just means I'm not going to have an excess of glue or glue marks on the reverse of the card. She says that, and then I've put it on the actual top of the rolling hill, but you get the gist. So I'm going to place it in just to expand over. I don't want too much of that white showing. Okay, this bit's going to be hidden by the caravan, so we're playing smoke and mirrors here. I could put an extra rolling hill on, which you wouldn't see because the caravan would cover it. It would obviously clear that, but the problem with that is I'm adding unnecessary bulk to the card that I don't want to do, so I'm going to avoid that. And I'm going to place some wet glue in. And just place that on top. So I've now expanded that card out. So even though I started at 9.5 inches, I'm now about 11.25. So we've got this really nice long line. Now coming in with that caravan to take center stage, you can obviously see I've got a gap at the bottom, and I'm going to have to deal with that. Now I've got 2 ways of doing it. You can lower the caravan and use that as a base. That's going to be fine, because obviously those 2 wheels, when it stands, the back of the card will protrude out, and this will lift to allow for those caravan wheels. So you will be able to do it that way. It's up to you, or we can choose grounding devices, which is what I will be doing. Grounding devices are going to alleviate the gap, but it's also going to allow it to look sort of prettier, I suppose. So I'm going to lift mine to this point. My caravan is parked up, and I'm going to use the wet glue on the card base rather than on the caravan, because I don't know where the it's going to start and end. So this way I know that I've got it secured. Just there. You all right, Miss Taz?
Yes.
Now, before that gets too secure, I want to add in my car, which is just going to seat at the front. So I'm just going to pop this here, because obviously we're towing the caravan at this stage. And I'm just going to put that there, so you've got that pull, that line of the car going forward. So just a little bit of wet glue onto there. And I'm just going to put the car in here. Just tuck it in about halfway. Just there. Okay, so I've got my elements where they need to be. Everything's sorted. Now I get to play. I need a grounding device. I can't leave that there. It doesn't look right. Like I say, the way around that is to use 3 rolling hills if it's a problem to you. I've got a parked caravan, so I can start to play with the elements that I've got. And the way I'm going to do that is to place the wee little canoe at the back, ready, it's unpacked, everything's working out, we're getting all of the elements together. So I'm going to do it that way just to piece it in. It makes sense, and it allows you to use that grounding device. I've also got my little rack of presents, or what's the word I'm looking for? Luggage. The brain is not in gear today, Miss Taz.
Did you just say present?
Yeah. Obviously thinking about your upcoming birthday, Taz.
Have you seen that people buy other people's luggage nowadays?
What?
It's a thing online.
What
you
is?
can buy like lost and found luggage.
God, pity
Some
the
people
fool.
find, like,
Pity the fool that finds mine. Can you imagine?
it's a present. Bizarre. You get some cracking things in there.
Do you?
I've watched numerous videos.
I've seen the ones where you can get parcels from Amazon and stuff that have been returned and you don't know what you're getting.
Similar thing, yeah.
I've seen those. Now, I've got my little fence post. I want to put this somewhere about there. So I am going to overlap slightly because we're building that scene. We're wanting those elements to come together. One of the things that I've also got is my floral design here. And I want to make sure that that is also seated in my foreground. The reason I'm doing these elements is to make sure that I've got the idea of it being parked up, of us having those nice, you know, sort of those moments, those beautiful feels. So I'm going to use these together. I'm going to put the mid fence just over the edge of that little floral so that it all merges into one. Just placing on. So I'll place it just with a slight overlap. So we're gaining kind of the idea of perspective. And I'm just going to slightly bend these. Just a wiggle and a jiggle. And then if I push those slightly together, it'll give me a basic 3D element because these will just protrude slightly. Mid fence post. And my side panels coming in. So if I place my mid one first, I can push on that one and that will allow that to just have a slight rise on it there. Same thing again at this side. Just push it forward, get that little rise, and that will just seat nicely in that center point. So it's just about making sure your little elements come to life, and we're giving some shadow to it, and it will just give it a bit more oomph. Now, obviously, I don't want this much white space at this side. As gorgeous as it is with those rolling hills, I want to fill in some of those details. So I'm going to come in with my fence post, and that's just going to edge my card out. So basically, we're creating a border. Visually, it just gives us that cue. I'll just offset that. Now, I've got my little paddle here. I've got two. I'm going to create essentially a crossbone, if you like. So I'll just place one at an angle. And then I've got my second one. And I'll place that just as a cross. Just tucking that there. Now I've got my little sign. I can use that as a road sign, obviously. I'm going to pop it just on the back of the caravan as just a detailing coming through. They use them, don't they? When this is where I go, where I should not be driving. You put triangles on cars that are not broken down. When do you use them on vehicles? There is a time. People at home, help me out. Now, because I've got my little post at this side, I want to then sort of cross-reference it over at the other. So I've got my gorgeous, gorgeous swing tennis. Who remembers swing tennis from when they were young? And I can place this in, right? So I'm going to just put this at this side. Can you remember? I bet you're competitive with this.
Oh. I was playing it the other day.
Is it swing ball, I think we used to call it, yeah.
Oh, I'm good at swing ball.
Can anyone at home hear the fierce tone in Miss Taz's voice when she says that? She is not... Miss Taz is one of those people you should never, ever get involved in any kind of board game, anything to do that's got any kind of competition. She will leave you crying in your seat while she does a little celebratory dance.
Okay, that's...
I have ceased and desisted all games with Miss Taz. I can't. She's got an uncanny knack of winning all of them. Put my little bike on there for that added detail as well. And then finally, just to fill in that tiny bit of space at the bottom, we're going to add in the 2 gas tanks. Now, one of these is going to be laid with wet glue, just to allow it to sit flat. Excuse me, sorry. This one, using my finger, I'm just going to Just roll it round, get some shape to it. And then I'm going to fill it with silicone gel glue. That's just going to give it a little bit of dimension and height, just to differentiate between the two. And allow just a smidge more dimension. Cute, right? These cards are just extra. We've got so many people in our life who love the great outdoors. And if you're watching, let us know if you are one of those people. For some, it's a real life, like a life goal almost, that people just spend as much time as they can in the great outdoors. And it's almost a lifestyle, isn't it? And I think having these dies to be able to portray that, to send to people we love, to have the idea of the wilderness, I think is really important. I've never seen anything that comes close to this. So I love the fact that we've got it. You see a lot of caravan kind of ideas where it's in the style of the VW, but not actual caravans. So this is going to be appreciated by so many of us. So huge thank you to Carnation. As I say, this is on the road again, 241020. It's the expansion pack to Sunlight and Skylines, sorry. And it is a show price today of $29.99, normal price $39.99, $2.95 UK P&P. Like I say, you can use your QR code, or you can go to the Carnation website, www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. Let's have a look at a couple more finished samples before we get onto the final demo here. So those streamlined, look at that. That's the clean and simple card shape. Those streamlined cards. Brilliant, right? Because with very little effort, we produce something that is really eye-catching. The joys of working with Carnation. You've got Pam Simpson here. Those gorgeous bikes on the rolling hills. The idea of, it reminds me of strawberry picking. Who used to go strawberry picking? You've got all, did you? And you've got all of the elements there, haven't you? Going out in summer. I miss summer already. I'm terrible for summer. I love it so much. Look at this. So when it's closed, it's already stunning. And then we open this up, the wonderful Vera bow. Look at that. This is the importance of mirrored vignettes. When I close that, 40% already gone, guys. You see the mirrored vignette, how it comes into such an important role, isn't it? Closed, that's wonderful. Opened, it's wonderful. Just joyous to work with. Apertures, always, always a firm favourite of mine. Vera bow here. Apertures creating a box frame. Just get your layered apertures in. Look at that. It tells a story. That's art, isn't it? That could be in a bathroom somewhere. It would look glorious framed up. Janine coming in here. That looks wintry to me. It looks like a winter scene. Those misted backgrounds that are so important as well. Get your backing papers. Always go looking for your backing papers. For just on a side note, for any of you that struggle with backing papers, and I know it can sometimes be a thing, Carnation always give free backing papers, which is incredibly generous, but they do have the digital Dreamscapes USB if ever you're looking for like a whole library of backing papers where you would never be short of finding one that's suitable for what you're making. Grab your digital Dreamscapes USB because there's so much on it. There are, is it 1,400 backing papers? Some of them are seasonal, some of them are just very beautiful, and it just gives you that extra scope. So if you're looking for any backing papers, that's a beautiful, beautiful library to have. Pam Simpson here. Look at that. That kingfish is just beautiful, isn't it? Really, really beautiful. I've never been kayaking, which, you know, probably good. Although I think I'm probably quite buoyant at this stage. The little motorbikes there. Just wonderful. You are my sunshine. Brilliant, right? Sue Dalrymple. No fishing. I love the little chairs, the little pull-out chairs. They're so sweet. It's inviting, isn't it? It's inviting you into the card. Pam here. Look at that. That is a really impactful use, isn't it, of the elements that you've got here. See how we get that dimension? Just wonderful. Brilliant. Barbara Treadwell coming in here. That Z fold. That is, as far as I remember, hold on, I think it's actually called the Z fold card shape. If any of you want that, can you get the details, Taz? Thank you. Just wonderful. And then this one, which I love because it's so simple. How gorgeous is that? The use of those florals just to create that corner effect is absolutely wonderful. Finally, we've got Vera Bow here. The use of the two awnings to create sort of a different scope in the background. So the awnings can be used in a multitude of ways. You can use it almost as a shelter. You can use it as an actual awning. You can use it to frame out the card. You could have one at either side to create an actual frame. Lots of different uses for it. Don't think it's just a sort of seat on the caravan there. It can be used in different ways. But really, really clever use of it here. This is On the Road Again die set. It's 241020 on the Carnation Crafts website, www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. Head over to the Daily Deal and it will be on there for you. It is an expansion pack of Sunsets?
Sunsets Skylines.
Thank you, Miss Taz.
And that is where you will find the cows, Jeanette. I did message you back, but in case you didn't see it, it's part of Sunsets Skylines.
There you go. So the little cows are there. I think there's also sheep, if my memory serves me correctly. So they do go together. They are meant to thrive together, but they can be used independently, of course. Always the case with Carnation. It's up to you what you do with them. And it's certainly not, although it is the expansion pack to that, it's certainly not sort of stuck to that. You can use lots of different pieces from different collections. Is the Sunlight and Skylines... Is that accessible?
I've already linked it.
Have you? You're a very good human.
I'm not just a pretty face, Carla. But whilst we're here, I think we should say hello to some people who have kindly messaged in.
Okay, let's do the things.
So over on Facebook, we've got Karen Richardson who says good morning. We've got Frederica Butler who says good morning. Yvonne is saying good morning, everyone. Suzanne Page messaged in.
Suzanne Page. I knew you'd love this one.
She said, good morning, Carla and Miss Taz. I set the alarm for 5 a.m. this morning, so could order this and have already had an email, bearing in mind Suzanne sent this about 30 minutes ago, saying it's on its way. Already, can't wait, already downloaded and printed artwork. Happy days, been waiting for ages for a caravan die. We've got Linda McLeod who's saying good morning. Linda Wilson saying good morning. We've got Sam Smith saying good morning.
I love it when you're all here.
Josephine saying, I do my crafting in my caravan. We've got Caroline Walker who's saying good morning. We've got Jeanette Pay who's saying, I know so many people this will cover.
Yep,
Thank
right.
you, Carnation. Jacqueline Ward is saying good morning. Sam Smith is saying, I'm like Monica off of Friends, very competitive. I think you've painted a bad picture for me, Carla. And then we've also got Yvonne who is saying fabulous cards from the design team. Tanya's saying good morning as well. What a gorgeous set. And then over on YouTube, we've got Debbie who's saying good morning. Michaela saying good morning. Beautiful here in Yorkshire. I saw my first kingfisher just last week. So currently using the dye in my projects. And then we've also got Denise who's saying good morning.
Good morning to you all. For those of you that are on YouTube, can you do me a favour and just hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you so choose. It helps the channel grow, but also it gives you notifications of when we're going live, and it just keeps you in the loop, which is nice. We never go live at stupid o'clock in the morning, so it's not going to notify you at 3 in the morning unless Taz is feeling particularly, you know, motivated at 3 in the morning. I will not be there at 3 in the morning, so you won't get notifications then. You will just get them at the right time.
Just me.
Just you on your own.
Crafting.
Whatever you want to do.
I will also say...
Actually, no, I take that back. Yes, crafting.
Speaking of crafting, Kate is saying she's watching us from her caravan as well.
I've actually noticed in the past, and having done the job I've done for a long time where we've had people message in, a lot of people actually have a crafting caravan. So it will seat in, because we don't all have room in our houses, do we, to have a craft room. So I know lots of people have a craft caravan. I also know there's one crafter whose name escapes me at present who has a craft boat, like a boathouse that is just for crafting, which is a great idea, isn't it? What a lovely environment to do that in. Right, I've got one more demo for you on this. Now, I'm doing 2 demos for you today. In exciting news, very exciting news, on Friday, Taz and I are going to be back with this collection. So we will be coming to you, is it 10 on Friday for this and 12 for the USB or vice versa?
I believe we're doing this at
10. We'll verify. It will be on the calendar for you, and it will also go on social media. So you're going to have even more inspiration on this collection because we know it's going to be super popular. So we're going to bring you more demos and we'll have another full show for you on it. So we're kind of splitting it into 2 because obviously this covers so many people and it covers so many different sort of situations, doesn't it? Like you've all said, there's so many people that you can make cards for with this. So we're going to have 2 shows for you. Yes, Miss Taz.
I just checked the calendar. So 10 a.m. we are doing the USB. 12 p.m. it will be on the road again, revisited.
There you go. Miss Taz is the woman in the know. I've got no memory, so you can't trust me on these things. Right. Let's have a look at doing something different with this. We're still going to use those hills. We're still going to use these elements. I'm using the nested dies, which are the scalloped edge. One of the ones I love so much because this fluff that's around the side, it's got that beautiful cloud formation. Now, obviously, when we're talking about outdoorsy stuff, that cloud formation that comes around the edge is perfect for this. It sets the scene before we start. So it's going to give you a really strong foundation. The scalloped edge are just really useful for giving us that kind of feel on an outdoor card. I'm just going to place those together and shuffle and then place that onto there. And just turn that over. Massive, massive hello to any new crafters that we've got today. We obviously get new crafters every single time we go live. So for those of you sitting and watching who might be a little more shy, who have never said hello before, please do come and say hi and let us know it's your first time of doing that. Always nice to welcome you into the family. If you're just tuning in and you've got no idea who we are, please do head over to Facebook and join the Carnation Crafters group where you'll get loads of information and a virtual hug when you go in as well. It's a wonderful place to be with the amazing Carnation army. So using my scalloped edge, I'm just going to come in here. So I've used a perfect paper, which has got that light stripe on it. I'm going to come on top of that then with the white just to clear the scene. Okay, so it's like a palette cleanser in a way. Pull back to create the tabs. Then we're going to slip and slide into place just to commit down. Place that down, out, and on, and pull. And that just commits that into where I want it to be. Now, I'm going to start playing with shapes. We're looking at the foundation of what we want to build here. So I'm using the circles, again, the scalloped edge, which are just so pretty, aren't they? They're so lovely to look at. Now, the great thing about the scalloped edge is, certainly on the circles, you've got there's 4 longer sections, so that it's really easy to piece them together. I want to create the idea in a kind of abstract way of sunrise. That's kind of where we're going with this. It is an abstract version of it, but I want to just build that in. I'm going to place this slightly higher up than central. Now, obviously I could go central, leave some white space at the top, entirely how you want to do it. But what I'm going to do is come in at the bottom, piece in my rolling hill, and I'll just build this so you can see the changes and how you can build it. If I place that there and then I bring in my extra rolling hills to piece behind, and I can either use that in the same direction, so I've got another hill just seated and you can build the scene, or if I want to, I can create change by just turning it round. Remember, we've got mirrored vignettes and that allows me to have a point of difference. Now, by using that kind of sunny colour that we've got, I can create the idea of sunrise. It's abstract, but it's definitely visual. We can see it, right? You can build on it. So depending where you place this will depend on how you want to build the top sections, whether you want corner elements, that kind of idea, okay? So I'll put it about there, I think, and we'll go from that point. So taking off these elements, making sure I've squared up with these panels so that I can find my seating when I come back to do it. So we'll go about there. Foam tape here, so we've now got a 3mm raise. Yep. I'm just going to place that down there. Okay, so we're creating that impact. Rolling hills seated at the bottom. Now I'm going to use wet glue for these, but I've got the issue as such. If I glue it down here, I'm going to need to make sure it glues at the top as well. The great thing about this is I've got cut lines that allow me to do it. If they didn't have the cut lines, it would crease as I turned it down. So you've got the added benefit. So what I'm going to do is commit the adhesive at the edges and at the bottom first. Then once I've got that seated, I can raise this, put adhesive at the back, and that will allow me to allow for the fact that I've got a 3mm rise. I hope that makes sense. I love these rolling hills. I think they're such a great, it's an instant scene setter, isn't it? Now I want to cover my scallop at the bottom on the white and bring in with the yellow. So my green seats on the yellow. So now that I've got that in place, now I can utilise that and use my adhesive for it. Obviously, the first thing that I'm going to do is seat my rolling hills behind it, because if I put adhesive down now, I can't tuck anything in. So you've got to work backwards. So just placing these in. Just at the bottom, remember I've got another one to tuck in. So I've got to be careful. I can put more glue in afterwards. I cannot take it away. So just to seat this and place it just in. So you've that beautiful little scene at the back, and then I can still tuck because I didn't put adhesive at the top. I can go in and rectify that, but I can't take the adhesive away. So just placing in, pushing down so that I've got my little edges tucked just through, and I've got my hill. Okay, so now we've got this scene, we've got these layers. What I don't want to do at this point is create an adhesive point until I've finished, because if I keep this exactly as it is and it's still upright, I can start tucking things in. So we can have a little bike on the hill rolling through. You can put it wherever, you can create that scene. It can be whatever you want it to be. If I glued it down, I'd have to just have it sitting on the hill, and that might not be what I was actually aiming to achieve. So it just means I've got more manipulation points. That can be disappearing over the hills. It can be any of those things, or it can sit right at the front. It's up to you what you want to do. I'm going to tuck it in. So I'm just going to use a small amount of adhesive here, just placed on. Remember, you don't need too much. This is where your applicators are always useful. Now the bike's fairly big, so I want it nearish to the foreground. Having it too far back would look obscure. So I'm just going to tuck it, and the bike will just sit rolling down that hill, or somebody's just parked it there, so to speak, and you've got your elements. Now I'm going to come in with those floral pieces. I can either create a front fitting scene here and frame out, and we're walking in, or I can frame from the top and create that draping, if you like. I can just corner out and change the dimension of it to create almost a bunting. Depends which way you want to do it. So you can see we've got these playways, these elements that we can use. So I just wanted to show you my sort of points of difference. I'm going to use them down here, and I'm going to expand off the edge of the card with those florals so they seat further apart, but I still get my walkway in, and I'll explain more about why I'm doing that in a minute. Now I've got my chairs, and I'm going to seat these just in that foreground, and they're going to seat together. I'm creating them quite high up, and I'll explain why. The rolling hills give me a grounding device wherever I put anything, which is incredibly useful. And I can seat that. I've got my campfire. I do love a campfire. I'm going to seat that down just here. So again, I'm creating that scene. Now, removing my florals just for a moment. I've got my gate, okay? And I'm going to seat that in, and my florals will sit at the side of it. But I do want to just separate these. I want to be able to open the gate. So taking a pair of scissors and using the cut lines that have been put in by Nick and the team, I can quite simply just cut along my little pip line. You can hear it. Can you hear them? Just a little pip. Then I've got my hinge. Pull that back and pull that back. Okay, so I've got my little gateway. Yeah, and I can seat that in just like so. And that means I can open those gates. By heck. So small amounts of wet glue here. Just make sure I seat those together so when they close, they're correct. And place that on just to there. So now I get to seat my flowers, you see, because this now opens. I now know where everything needs to be placed, and this is what I mean about working backwards. We work backwards because it makes it easier for us. Now it's very naked as it is at the moment because it's obviously not got the florals. If I start to frame it though, we start to get that fuller view, and it looks incredibly pretty, doesn't it? So I'm just going to lay out a little bit of wet glue just roughly in the middle here of my florals, because that's going to be my adhesive point. Again, I can add more, I can't take it away. So if I put small amounts in the centre to begin with and then commit that adhesion, I can then go back in and add more if I need to, if it's not sticking enough. It just allows me to do it without mess. So just small amounts. Glue is sticky. Have I done that on the wrong side? I have. Do you know, Miss Towers, half a brain and I'd be dangerous. Let's put that there. Just those small pieces. Now I'm not touching the top pieces. I like the flow and the movement in a card, and I think flow and movement is such a beautiful aspect of card making. The more we can take advantage of it, the better results we get. So I'm just going to let those breathe on their own. I'm quite happy with that. And my gates will now open. I'm just going to make sure that I can push that so that I can use them. Same again, because as the card goes to the recipient, I want them to be able to open the scene. In order to create a little bit of extra value, I'm just going to add in a little bit of grounding. I'm leaving the white space at the top. I'm not worried about it, but if I wanted to, I could. In fact, let's play. Let's do it this way. Let me get some more wet glue. And let's have a bit of a crafty moment, Miss Taz. Place that down. Let's add. Oh. Just seat in. Let's do some visual little cues just in there. Some more of the pink florals. So we're just adding a speck of colour at the top. So I'm just breaking my white space, like breaking the veil. Place this in. Seat that in, and then finally my little chap who needs just a little bit of attention with a ball tool, and just to give him a little extra shape round his bottom and all through his haunches, his tail, just to shape him. Let's give him a little wiggle and a jiggle around his midsection. Pull that forward. Pull his little face and separate, and then let's fill him with some silicone gel glue, and he'll sit at the foreground of my card. Because he's much bigger obviously than the bike, I need him to be sitting more forward so that my perspective view makes sense. And let's place him in, keeping guard of my little campfire. Really sweet. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous little collection. The idea of using your nested dies is always going to help in different ways. Nested dies are not just there as, you know, a pretty face, so to speak. They do have other kind of uses, in as much as using that scalloped edge to give you the idea of cloud formation. We can use the circle to almost give the idea of a sunrise. It gives that burst, doesn't it, at the back of the card. So you've got the different elements that you can use to build your scenes, and that's what this is all about. We're using that caravan. We're using the elements that come together to create those outdoor cards. It tells a story of being on the road, of camping, of having those joyous moments. Yes, Miss Taz?
Can we just hit on a couple of comments before we go?
Yeah, of course.
So we've got Sam Smith, who said, beautiful card.
Oh, thank you, Sam Smith.
Sheila Parrier said, good morning, Carla, Taz and team. What a beautiful die set. Just
Isn't it?
ordered mine and I just love your demos.
Oh, thank you.
And then we've got Linda Morton, who says, good morning. These dies are wonderful. We have quite a few caravans in our family, so these will come in very handy for those cards that we get stuck for. Yeah. Excellent work, Carnation. It
is. It's about, the thing is, when we're talking, when we start to build our collections of dies, and this is why Carnation are one of the most pivotal creators of dies, I think, in the industry. That's not just bias, but on a factual basis, what we need are dies that actually have significance in life, because those people that we know that love those ideas of maybe like being on the, you know, on the road, 45% already gone of a large stock, by the way, those ideas of being able to build those tales that we tell, those stories and those relationships that people have with various elements. Now that could be a kingfisher. We've had tell of that this morning. All those things, we get to utilise that with Carnation, because they don't just bring us the standard dies that we see in the industry all the time on repeat. Instead, they bring us elements. You know, it was only, what, 2 weeks ago we had a die of a wheelie bin, which if you sit and think about in general terms, you'd be like, why would I need that? But in actual fact, the use for it is incredible, right? And it became one of the most popular dies because we have a relationship with it, and everybody we know does. And this is why these are important as well. That idea of caravanning, holidaying, being outdoorsy. And when I've seen caravan dies before, they've always been the camper van. It's always been the VW because it's iconic. But in actual fact, most of us who use caravans use caravans, right? So to have those elements are so important, and it does us a great service to be able to provide those cards for the people we love and the people who will really relate to the cards that we're giving. It's important. It makes a difference, and that's why I think Carnation will always pioneer and will always be ahead of the game in the market, because they think outside the box, and it's really important in the craft industry to not be on repeat. I just think to have somebody who takes us outside of that scope is such a vital part of what we've got. So huge kudos to Carnation. Yes, Miss Tistaz.
Oh, we're just approaching half the stock gone.
Good luck.
Nearly there.
We're supposed to have another show on Friday.
I'm just letting people know before we leave.
241020 on the road again. Die set. Show price $29.99. UK PMP of $2.95. $39.99 is your price from midnight tonight. You've got your QR code at the bottom, which will take you straight to the product. You can also use the number, and you can use the name to search if you find that easier. I'm not sure what the price will be on Friday, so make sure you get ahead of the game. Grab it while you can. We will be back with you in an hour's time, actually, when we've got some spooky goings on, not just Taz, but actually some collections for Halloween. So you'll be able to come back and see all of those elements. Oh, she does look, she's very frightening right now, just in case anybody needs to know. Very frightening, scarier than any horror film I've ever seen. Right, we will be back in an hour with some Halloween goings on. We will speak to you then. Have